The New York Giants just leveled up. Let's talk about it. My name is Paul. This is Big Apple Sports. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done it yet, please like and subscribe. Join this awesome Giants community. You won't regret it. Today, I'm going to be talking about a couple of moves that the Giants made today that I really think will level up their offense. I'll explain kind of the reasoning behind their moves and how it's going to affect this team. But first, I want to start with how John Harbaugh has really leveled up this team as a whole. I saw a couple different things today that just got me excited about what John Harbaugh is doing. I mean, he came in and in his very opening press conference just talked about how I'm going to change the physicality of the team. I'm going to change the mindset, the work ethic. You better love football if you're going to be here. And we're starting to see that vision come into fruition. So the first thing I saw, I think this was originally reported by Dan Duggan, is he brought up that today is practice number 16, and they have reached that in 21 days of camp. Last summer, it took them 33 days to get to their 16th practice. And things will slow down a little bit. They're going to travel now to Florida and have a joint practice with the Miami Dolphins, which, quick side note, I'm hyped for that. A lot of times you learn more in these joint practices than you do in the preseason game because it gives you a chance to try some things you want to try without putting them on film. You get to go against other teams rather than against your own team, so I'm super hyped for that. But so they'll be traveling to that. Then they'll have a preseason game, I think 2 games in the next 6 days. So the practice will slow down a little bit, but just crazy that 12 less days to reach the same amount of practices. And then going along with that, Carl Banks was talking the other day about the intensity of these practices. And he said he's used to seeing popsicle breaks. I can't even say that with a straight face. Or water breaks in between. Not with Harbaugh. They're being conditioned to play football. You've heard a lot about these hard-nosed practices, and the popsicle breaks just gets me. Like, I coach my son's first grade flag football team, and I don't even give them popsicle breaks, although maybe that would help. We'll see. I'll think about adding that. But the fact, like, just you hear about these country club practices under Dable, and hearing that they had popsicle breaks, they were every other day, a lot of them weren't in pads. Like, that sounds like a team that's not going to be prepared in the regular season, and they weren't. You saw that every year, week 1, like, this team just did not look as prepared as their opponent, and you can already see that's not going to be the case under Harbaugh. Nobody's practicing as hard as this team. Nobody's practicing as often as this team. The attention to detail sounds like it's been off the charts, so I love it. Now, let's talk about the Giants made 2 different moves today, and I think there's some clear messaging behind it. The first, everybody saw it, the Giants signed Najee Harris. He obviously is a former Steelers running back, was with the Chargers last year. He mentioned in his little press conference that nobody in the league knows me better as a player than Harbaugh, which is interesting because he never actually played for Harbaugh. But obviously the Steelers played the Ravens twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year in the playoffs. Harbaugh knows him very well. And then he was with the Chargers last year, so he has that familiarity with Greg Roman. So he should fit pretty seamlessly into this scheme. But he's an interesting signing. I know a lot of people are immediately going to jump to is Tyrone Tracy going to get cut based on missing that block. I don't think that's the case. But at the same time, I really think Najee Harris could make this team. Like, there's been a lot of signings in training camp where it's like the team's just bringing in an extra body, bringing a little extra competition. But truthfully, the guy is fighting to make the practice squad. He's not really fighting to make the roster. Najee Harris really has a chance to make the roster. First off, I love his mindset. Like, he came in, he's like, look, there's going to be a lot of questions about how I'll come back. I'm ready to answer all those. He's mentioned he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's ready to play. He's ready to prove it. He said, whatever I've done before this year, it doesn't matter. Like, I start fresh today, and I have to keep answering the same questions I've answered my entire career. And he's had a pretty impressive career if you haven't followed him. He's been, and until last year, he missed some of camp. I think he had a firework blow up in his eye or something. So he had an eye issue. And then he ended up rupturing his Achilles after a few games. But every season in the NFL before that, he was a 1,000-yard rusher with at least 6 touchdowns. And he's only 28 years old, and he's 6'1", 242, which is massive. And if you compare that to the other running backs on the Giants roster, even Scadaboo can't compete with that size. I mean, obviously, Damon Bankston and Eric Gray are very much on the outside looking in at running back now. But the big three, you got Devin Singletary, 5'7", 203, so very short. Scadaboo and Tyrone Tracy are both 5'11", in that 210 to 215 range. But so you're adding 2 extra inches to Najee Harris, and you're adding 30 extra pounds. So, like, the dude is a big guy, and that really matches the identity of what this team wants to be and what John Harbaugh has typically had at running back. I mean, we all know Derrick Henry is just a monster of a human being. If you haven't looked up the picture of Derrick Henry standing next to Mark Ingram at Alabama, do it. It's hilarious. He makes Mark Ingram look like a child. But John Harbaugh loves his big running back. Najee Harris is easily the biggest on this team. And I think something that the Giants are going to do this year is, I mean, it might not be the most, it's not going to be the greatest show on turf. They're not going to be coming out with 80-yard touchdowns every play, slinging it all over the field. This is going to be a power run football team, and I think it's going to make it really easy for Jackson Dart to thrive in. And Najee Harris really fits that vision. So, like, this team, like, running the ball is going to set up everything. And with Dart's mobility, his ability to run the RPO, his ability to tuck it and run himself, like, that all is going to be extremely difficult to stop. And yesterday when I did my video, I just point blank was like, Tyrone Tracy is not on the chopping block. Like, it was one play he missed the block. It's unacceptable, but I think he can do more with his speed than anybody else on the roster. But the more I think about it, the more I think, like, I don't know that Harbaugh really cares about that. Like, he doesn't necessarily need a running back who can take it to the house every play. He wants guys who can just get 3, 4, 5, 6 yards every single play so that you're getting into those third and manageables or second and manageables, because that's where this offense is really going to take off. That's where, like, you can't stack the box against this team when you have Malik Neighbors, Malachi Fields, Darnell Mooney, Calvin Austin, all these different guys on the outside who can take the top off the defense. But if you try and double team those guys and the box isn't stacked and you got 6'1", 240 Najee Harris or Cam Scadaboo running behind Pat Ricard in a 2 tight end set, like, you're not going to be able to stop it in those short yardage situations. So Najee Harris really does complement this offense with that size, gives them an additional power runner. It's very unlikely the Giants carry 4 running backs because Pat Ricard is going to be that number 4 running back, even though he's not going to get really any handoffs. So 4 running backs, very unlikely. So the question is, who doesn't make the team? I feel like Scadaboo's a lock. I mean, none of these guys were brought in by Harbaugh, for the record. Like, if there was a guy that he had drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round this year, I'd be like, he's a lock. Harbaugh had a vision for this guy. But all of these guys were brought in by the old regime. So he has no ties to any of them. But you could see in that first preseason game, like, Scat's the guy. He's going to be the number 1 back. But I do wonder. I think we all thought Tyrone Tracy was going to be that number 2 guy. But would they rather bring in Najee Harris, who is even bigger and stronger than Scadaboo, but he also, he's a really good pass protector, which Lord knows Tyrone Tracy just got that put on notice the other day with his missed block that led to a huge Jackson Dart sack. Is he going to want to follow up the thunder of Cam Scadaboo with even more thunder of Najee Harris and just build that identity as a physical team that just wears you down? Because when you complement that with this amazing defense the Giants have, it's just going to wear teams down and it's going to keep the defense fresh. And it really takes this offense to another level where they can wear down their opponents. And I think, if you haven't caught the show before, I'm a big Michigan fan. I know a lot of people roast me for it. They cheated. I get it. It sucks that, they put their fans through that. But I'm a guy, I stick with my team through thick and thin. But I watched that in the Jim Harbaugh era all those years, and John Harbaugh's trying to replicate the same thing where it was kind of boring first, second, and third quarter, but they would just wear these teams down with these 4 and 5 yard physical runs with their big stable of running backs. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, those 4 and 5 yard runs turn to 10 and 15 yard runs because those linebackers and D linemen are gassed. And all of a sudden, like, the defense almost goes to sleep trying to stop these runs, and next thing you know, there's a flea flicker or a play action, and you got a receiver wide open deep downfield. And I think the Giants really are going to be able to do that this year, where, like, they're going to wear teams down. There's going to be a lot of close games, but then you're going to get into the fourth quarter, and these defenses are just going to be gassed trying to stop this stable of big physical running backs running behind big physical fullbacks and tight ends. And then that kind of leads me to the last move the Giants made today, the wide receivers, which are the final piece to that puzzle. And we saw Juju Smith-Schuster get cut today. And that was to make room for Najee Harris. I don't think anyone's super surprised by this. I think we all thought he had a chance to make the team. Obviously, he has that familiarity with Matt Nagy, having been with them for the Chiefs the last couple years. But he struggled with injury, and it really put him behind in camp. But I think the bigger thing that has happened here that caused Juju Smith-Schuster to get cut rather than the injury is the development of Malachi Fields. I really think the Giants' vision for their wide receivers is, obviously, if you have a Malik Neighbors, like, that's a gift that few teams in the NFL have. You're going to use that. But I think with the other Giants wide receiver, they wanted one of these big physical guys who are willing to do the dirty work and block in the running game. And that's what Juju Smith-Schuster's always done. He's a huge guy. He's willing to throw a block, and he also can make plays catching it. And Malachi Fields, they obviously invested a lot into him. They traded picks to go up and get him, basically spent the value of a second-round pick to take him. They very clearly had a vision for him, and I think they've been impressed with how quickly he's developed. And I think Juju Smith-Schuster was almost like a fail-safe. Like, okay, if Malachi Fields can't develop into that wide receiver role, we know Juju Smith-Schuster can do it. But we are seeing Malachi Fields blossom early into a guy that just does everything. You saw in the Vikings game, Lord knows the guy can go up and get it. He can go up and moss anybody in the league with his incredible size. He's got great hands. You saw him go out there on the punt team and do a good job out there on the punt team. But then he has so many different skill sets that really will give more diversity to this Giants offense. Like, he is a great blocker, and he's willing to just get nasty, do that dirty work. But then, again, back to that power run game, it's the same thing where they're going to get in a lot of second and shorts, third and shorts with this run game, and you're going to want to stack the box. But if you leave 6'4" Malachi Fields in one-on-one coverage with a 5'9" cornerback, that is not going to go well for them. And it's not going to go well for anybody to be covering Malik Neighbors one-on-one. And I think Malachi Fields' ability to both block and have a super positive impact on the running game, but also run routes really well and get open and go up and make contested catches, is going to make this offense just completely take off and go to the next level. And I think he is achieving everything they would have wanted him to achieve, and he kind of makes it so there's really no more need for Juju Smith-Schuster. That role is filled by him, and it's getting filled at a very high level. So lots of moves happening in Giants land. I really think Najee Harris has a chance to make this team. If you want me to make a prediction, I think he makes it, and I think Devin Singletary gets cut. I know Tyrone Tracy, he screwed up big time with that missed block. It was one mistake. Like, he still is the quickest guy on this team. He averaged a half a yard more per carry than Devin Singletary each of these last 2 years. Yes, he's probably not going to be the guy that you're like, oh, it's a passing situation, I want him out there as my pass blocker. But Najee Harris is really good at that. I think they'll have Cam Scadaboo, and he's obviously big and physical. He had some mistakes last year too. But I think if you have his speed with the size and physicality of Scadaboo and Najee Harris, I think that's your most complete running back room. And I like Devin Singletary. I'm not going to be sad if he makes the team too. But I just don't think – I think his role is lessened with the addition of Najee Harris more than Tyrone Tracy's. But you guys comment below. Give me your prediction for the running back room. Who's going to be the odd man out? Do you think they shock everybody and keep a fourth running back? Let me know. And then don't forget to just like and subscribe on your way out.